Hi, my name's Christine, and I'm 25. I've been watching Kevin and DK for a little bit now. I kind of just got into the YouTube thing, so I've been watching them, and I found Vlogalogue. DK suggested that I watch it since I like his videos. And so I found it really cool that you guys talked about your internet background and how you got into the internet and all of that, and I kind of wanted to make a response video for that. So this is my first YouTube video ever, and there's not going to be any editing. It's going to be total crap, so sorry, I apologize for that, but let me begin. So the first thing I remember is my old Macintosh computer, and I remember playing like Jigsaw Puzzle on that, but that was my first computer. My dad has been, my dad's an engineer, so he's been like great as into like introducing technology and being very current about it. So around that age we got upgraded to a PC. We had AOL, like dinosaur AOL, like I don't know, like maybe like AOL 1. And we had dial-up. My parents were both introverted, so AOL tended to be a really great way for them to communicate. So they took to it very well. At that age, I don't really remember being on the computer much. I think I probably played on AOL Kids a little, but it just wasn't a really big part of my life. But my parents were always on the computer. We actually had to upgrade the 2 lines because the phone was never available. So at like age 10, I still wasn't on the computer much, but we did upgrade to broadband. And at this point, we all, because my dad upgrades his computer like every year, we all had a computer. He was able to actually build us computers from his old scrap parts. So at age 10, I did have my own computer. And he had these thick black cables all over the house, and we had a network. So I was able to play LAN games. We played like AOE together. I remember playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and like Sims, and that's really when I started using the computer a lot, was when I started playing video games. At age 12, I had kind of gotten off AOL a little bit and started to use like Internet Explorer and stuff like that, and I found Xpages. And Xpages basically was a website service that allowed you, like, it would host your web pages and it would give you certain options, how you wanted to decorate your page through your background, your header, what kind of content you wanted, what kind of font you wanted, and basically you could click the selections and it would generate this web page. So they had like a domain of like what web pages they had, and so like I would click and like I would look at different web pages people had, and I noticed that some of them looked way different from the selections you had. And so I went to my dad and I said, how do they do this? So my dad basically explained what HTML was, that it was a different language, and that they used coding essentially to make these web pages. And he bought me a book like this big, like, and I think it was like the Idiot's Guide to HTML or something. It was huge and it was really confusing. So like Victoria, I actually ended up getting on Funky Chickens, and Funky Chickens, excuse me, is what basically helped me to create HTML with referencing the book and everything. So I started doing, that was like my passion. I was all over that. I had so many Xpages and I got really into it. Around that time I started getting into Neopets, and Neopets was like my first big internet thing. I loved Neopets to death. And they have these things called guilds, and you could basically make this like forum type group where you could invite people on and they would be part of your community. And so they also give you the ability to design and make your own personal graphics for that. And so that's when I got into graphic design. So I would start making graphics for my Neopets thing, and that I loved that. So around the same time, I also got into Tenchi Muyo because Toonami had started on Cartoon Network, and I got super obsessed with anime. And so I actually got into IRC chat for a little bit. I don't know if y'all remember what that is, but yeah. At age 14, I was pretty well versed in HTML and graphic design at this point. I had my own domain at one point. And this I kind of got back into AOL for a little bit. I kind of missed the community of AOL and the chat rooms and everything like that. And so I joined AOL again, and I got into the chat rooms and stuff because I was still old enough to be in the kid chat rooms. And I found this little subgroup of people, and basically what they did was what was called a zine. Like back in the 90s, they used to have zines, and what people would do is they would photocopy things. Like they would make layouts and photocopy them, and then they would print them out, and it would be like a magazine, like a small magazine with poetry or feminist issues or just anything anyone wanted to talk about, and they would pass them out, or people would pay for them, or they would trade. And so essentially this is what it kind of was, only in digital form. And so what I did, I really liked the layout portion of it because I was into graphic design. So I had a zine that would pass out zine graphics, and I also had one that would pass out MP3s, and I also had one that did fonts. So I loved that. That was just I was all about that, and I did that for a while. I also was into AOL Instant Messenger, AIM. So I was I talked to all my friends from school and everything, and I actually, through a friend, found my first boyfriend. And we only went on one date. It was terribly awkward. I didn't even know what I was doing, and I ignored him the whole time because I was just so shy. It was bad. But anyway, to continue, at age 16, I got into MySpace, and that's when I really started doing the social media thing. I loved doing layouts for MySpace, and my MySpace never looked like a normal MySpace. It was always totally changed. I had overlays and all this sort of thing. And I also got into Vampire Freaks, which is a lesser known social media for alternative type looking people, usually goths, punks, that sort of thing. And I kind of got into that too. Well, Vampire Freaks has something sort of similar to a Neopets Guild, where it's a forum type thing, and essentially, I got into making, they're called cults. They're not guilds, they're cults, but it's really just because it keeps with the theme or whatever. But those essentially are communities where you would talk in a forum-like thing. I also really got into online role-playing, funny enough. There is a thing, and I think it's called Avid Gamers, but I can't really remember the name. It's been too long. And essentially what you do is you would create a forum-like thing. This is a theme in my life, where you would, well, you could really and honestly do it about anything. You could pick which sort of subcategory your little forum fell into. But my biggest thing was the role playing. I used to do they did vampires and wolves and werewolves and dystopian societies and just all sort of things, and that really helped me as a person to develop my grammar and my spelling. My sentence structure still sucks balls, but we'll not discuss that right now. But that actually, I play D&D to this day, and I really think that kind of is the reason, because I started role-playing on the internet a long time ago. I also got into the Flash cartoons around the age of 16. I remember Sally Fingers, Homestar Runner, the Badger Thing, and just all these different ones that we would visit weekly, as they updated it. And yeah, I was into the Flash cartoons too. And then at 16, I actually did my schooling online, because at this point they had developed an online program that you could do in Florida. And I think it was my sophomore year that I did that. I'm not sure. I think so. Anyway, so now I'm on Facebook. I really am not much into the graphic design and that sort of thing anymore. I kind of took a hiatus from that. But I am on Facebook. I do social media, and to this day I actually am into the forums. They have a forum sort of function. It's not as forum-y, it's more Facebook-y, but it's sort of the same thing. And I'm into that now. I do a couple groups of like art, and I'm sort of into Myers-Briggs personality type, so I have my groups for that and everything. But yeah, that's my internet history. Like, long breathed and long-winded, but that's it. So anyway, thanks guys. It was really nice chatting with you.